Hello folks, Neil here from I Will Always Love Video Games, and finally, at long last, it's time to take a look at the Titanfall beta. And let me tell you something, I had to work today, and I got my code this morning, my beta code for PC, and for the 3 hours before I had to go to work, and the hour after I got home from work, before I obviously started recording this, I did nothing but play this game. Obviously, you have to have Origin in order to play it, which sucks, but honestly, Origin didn't really seem too intrusive like it normally is, although I had to wait for a 72 megabyte update, and of course the beta itself is about 12 gigs in size. I would like to point out that the gameplay footage you're going to see in this video is being run on a PC that doesn't even have a dedicated graphics card. I'm just using a chipset, and I didn't make any changes to the settings. It actually, when the first time you boot up the game on PC, it looks at all of your settings and comes up with one, that it recommends. I didn't change any of it, and there's some textures that are missing, especially inside the Titans. You can tell it's really blocky, but otherwise, it runs so smooth. It runs incredibly, beautifully smooth. It has Xbox 360 controller support, obviously, since it's going to be for Windows and Xbox One and Xbox 360 only. The controller support is wonderful. I experience no lag between pressing a button on the controller and having the action appear on screen. It runs like a dream. The only problem I had is the problem that most of us had if you tried to play it yesterday, which was the servers going down. I hope that doesn't happen too often, but this morning it seemed okay. I got into matches with no problem. I was in and out of matches, staying with lobbies. I didn't get kicked. I didn't have any host migrations, anything of that sort. It ran beautifully. So when they came out and said what the minimum specs were for the game, they weren't lying. They were not lying. You can have a machine that's a few years old or doesn't even have a dedicated graphics card. I don't have a, $2,000, $3,000 PC, and it runs beautifully. It plays beautifully. I had no problems. And even recording with fraps, I was hitting roughly around 30 frames a second. With fraps not running, I was getting like 30 to 35, around that kind of range. And with fraps on, I was getting between 25 to 30, but it was still incredibly smooth. The biggest and best thing I have to say about this game is it's nice to see developers try to come up with a game that doesn't require a high skill ceiling or doesn't punish those that didn't play other games of its type. For example, it's very hard for people to get into Battlefield or Call of Duty right now because the people that have been playing Call of Duty or Battlefield for the past, God knows how many years, they go into the next iteration, the new yearly game or bi-yearly game, knowing exactly what to do. They know how to play, and they're just, a real pain in the ass to kill. Even if they're just using a starter kit, they know what they're doing. This game, I have to say, it gives everybody a chance, regardless of your skill set. I mean, I come from playing Counter-Strike and Call of Duty and Battlefield, and coming into this, I know how to look down my sight and shoot a gun and stuff like that, but there's still a lot more different mechanics that you have to use, and that's the other thing. You can't come into this game with a Call of Duty or Battlefield mentality. If you want to camp, or if you just want to sit on a roof and snipe, this is not your game. Camping will get you nowhere. Sitting in one spot will get you killed. It is constantly moving. It's hectic, it's frantic, and throughout the entire time you play, you always have to make split-second decisions and change your play style. And you'll see that in the gameplay footage. You can go from being an assault guy and running headlong into enemy territory and shooting up people, but then you need to escape so you can cloak and find your way out of there. You can, if you don't have a Titan but the enemy has a Titan, you can run up to the roof and cloak yourself to make sure you don't get spotted, and then try to take it out with a rocket, and then hop to another rooftop and try to take it out, try to get the guy in the Titan to figure out where he's getting hit from. Basically, with this game, unless you're an absolutely 100% terrible player and you can't play anything at all, there are no excuses for playing badly in this game. There is always something for you to do, and you're never put in an unfair situation. You're never outnumbered. An enemy runs up in front of you, starts shooting at you, you can cloak and get the hell out of there. You see an enemy run into a building and you don't want to chase after him, you can run up the walls in the building and jump into the window and cloak and come up behind him and assassinate him. If the enemy team has a Titan, not to worry, because every single person by default has some sort of anti-Titan launcher on them. When you play Call of Duty and someone puts up a UAV or a chopper or whatever, the only way to take the damn thing down is if someone on your team, one, bothers to have, an anti-aircraft launcher on them, and two, decides to actually use it. In this game, you have no excuse. If your team is getting whomped by Titans and you're not doing anything about it, it's you and your team's own damn fault for not pulling out your anti-Titan launchers and trying to take the fuckers down. The only thing I see so far that's unfair is the smart pistol, which is put in there, my guess is just for noobs, because it's basically a pistol where you aim it at a couple of people and it'll target up to 3 people, and you can shoot with 1 or 2 trigger pulls, regardless of where you're aiming, and the bullets will hone in on those people that you targeted. I can see that getting abused in the future, but the time that I spent playing, I only got killed with it once or twice, so I don't think a lot of people are really going to deal with that. They're going to want to deal with the rifles and the bigger, more powerful weapons. Speaking of those weapons, you have your standard attachments that you can earn, stuff like silencers and extended mags and different scopes, your generic fare for a shooter. And after you reach level 5, you can make your own custom loadouts. With this game, you can really feel the arcadey Call of Duty influence. And you can see a lot of influence from many different games present in Titanfall. You can see influence from MechWarrior, from Mirror's Edge or Brink when it comes to the parkour and running up walls and stuff like that. Crysis, without a doubt, especially the cloaking, is pretty reminiscent of Crysis. And it also harkens back to the old PC game Shogo Mobile Armor Division. It's kind of like a cool little spiritual successor to that. Having things like cloaking and the sci-fi element in the game, that with the mechs and the way that your characters look, and that it's a futuristic military FPS. This is what Black Ops 2 should have been. I've had more fun playing this Titanfall beta than I had playing the last 3 Call of Duty games. Period. Squashing people with your Titan and ripping the heart out of other Titans once they're weak enough, reaching in and grabbing the guy and pulling him out of his own Titan, it just feels so satisfying. The great thing about the Titans are, you're not completely done for if the enemy team has a bunch of Titans, because like I said, everyone on your team is equipped with some way to take down the Titans. Not only that, but if you can get up high, which is pretty easy considering all the jetpack, double jumping, and parkour moves that you can do in the game, you can actually jump on top of a Titan and start destroying it from the top. So there's no excuse if you're getting destroyed by Titans. You can bounce back. Having a Titan on the enemy team out stomping around is not a reason for you to throw up your hands and quit. You can take them down. And if you're a regular dude and you take it down, that's also incredibly satisfying, because you know that the person that got it, they see that they got taken out by a normal guy and not a Titan, and you know it's going to piss them off because now they got to wait another 2 minutes to get their next Titan. Speaking of the next 2 minutes, what I said earlier about trying to camp and trying to snipe, the reason it won't work is you need to get your ass out into the battlefield and fight, because if not, you'll be waiting forever to get your Titan. The game rewards you for actually going out there and doing what you were put down there to do. If you loaf around and look for rooftop places to snipe and look for places to sit, you'll be waiting forever to get your Titan. But if you run out there and start taking out pilots, start taking out bots, and you're really trying to help your team, you're assisting, you're throwing grenades into clusters of bots and stuff, then every time you do that, the time for your Titanfall gets shorter and shorter. And I've had times where it's like, your Titan is going to fall in 2 minutes. And then I run out for about 10 seconds and just start decimating people. And then it goes from 2 minutes to, oh, your Titan is going to fall in 30 seconds. It is a wonderful reward system to reward people for actually going out and playing rather than just sitting in a corner waiting for easy kills. Speaking of the bots, there were people that were worried when it was announced the game was only 6-on-6. I've got to tell you, I don't even notice. I don't even notice that it's 6-on-6, because there are bots that come out for each team that are basically just little grunts that you can destroy. And you don't get as many points for them. You only get, I think, 20 points for killing a grunt and 100 points for killing another player. But they're helpful for your team. It's worth having the bots out there. Not only because it adds to the action and it has extra ways for you to get points, but once the game is out for a few years and it starts slowing down and you only have like 3-on-3, it's nice to have the bots in there to make it feel like there's a full lobby. I've said that before, that I believe every FPS should have a mode with bots at all times so you can just play with your friends in case the community dies. Speaking of those bots, that's another reason why I say you can't complain when you play the game. Oh, I suck at FPS as well. Take on the bots then. When you look at your HUD, you can actually tell who is a human enemy and a bot. A human enemy is a really big red dot. Titans are red triangles, and they, the triangles point in the direction of where the Titan is looking. And the bots are little teeny tiny red dots. They're significantly smaller. So if you want to just go around killing bots just so you can call in your Titan and use them for support, you can do that if you want, if you don't want to deal with fighting regular people. That's the other beautiful thing about the Titans. You don't have to use them as an all-out, all-frontal assault. One of the best things to do in the game is if you see somebody that's on your team that's in a Titan fighting another Titan and they're getting their ass kicked, you can run up there and use the left bumper move, I don't know the names yet, sorry, where you pull out this like shield and you can collect the rockets and bullets that are fired by the enemy and basically create a shield for your teammate, so your teammate can shoot and fire rockets and whomp on the guy while you try to suck up and suppress all the bullets. In the beta, there are 3 different modes to play. They're all renamed versions of your typical FPS modes. Attrition is your basic team deathmatch. Hardpoint is like Conquest. You have to capture and hold 3 points, and the longer you hold them, the more points you get. And there's Last Titan Standing, which is basically a hardcore mode just with Titans. Everyone on each team starts out in a Titan. There's no respawning, and the winner, obviously, is the last Titan standing. Basically, all I can say is this. If you applied for Titanfall and you haven't checked to see if you have your beta code yet, please check, because you are going to want to play this. I have been having an absolute blast with this, and if the final game is just like this, don't hesitate to buy it, because it is a ton of fun and it's a refreshing change from the drab gray and brown military FPSs. It's nice to see the guys at Respawn trying to shake it up a bit. Again, Titanfall, the beta is out now. I highly, highly recommend it. If you have a chance to play it, please do. You won't be disappointed. Until next time, this is Neil from I Will Always Love Video Games, and for the remainder of the video, just sit back and bask in the glorious, glorious gameplay. I'm gonna go back and play some more Titanfall now. Have a good one.
Titan will be ready in 2 minutes. Got an enemy pilot in sight! Covering sector! Pilot, your Titan will be ready in 60 seconds. Slightly ahead of the insurgents. There's still lots of time to improve our situation. Get to it. Acknowledged. Stand by for Titanfall.
Transferring control to pilot.
ticks to all ground forces. The situation is under our control. Well done.
Be advised, militia forces is defeated, but enemy survivors remain in your area. Do not allow them to